This video was recorded as a part of a live webinar series from Aberdeen Consulting. Please note that some of the features shown in this video may have changed and or have been updated since this was recorded.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm Jim Blair from Aberdeen. Like I said earlier, we do want to welcome you to the event today. Joining me from the Aberdeen team is TJ Horner. TJ is actually producing this live event. And then Kyle Harritz has also joined as well. Kyle's going to be moderating the questions that you submit in the queue. For today's event, we actually partnered with Nancy from Success Organizing Solutions. Nancy is going to be providing a OneNote advanced overview. Nancy is certified in both Microsoft Outlook and OneNote, and she's operated her own consulting and training firm for the last 20 years, where she focuses on helping end users maximize their use of many of the Microsoft Office products to be more efficient and better organized. Nancy's focus is more on the user side of the technology, where we at Aberdeen focus on the back end of the technology. So we're glad she's willing to share her time with us for today's event. We did review the list of people attending. I think we had over 50 people signed up for the event today. We do have many people we've worked with over the years. There's a few that haven't worked with us as well. For others attending, just want to share a little bit about Aberdeen. We are an IT managed service provider. We've actually been serving clients in the greater Madison region, which will be for 17 months or 17 years this next month, excuse me. We provide outsourced IT management and end user support to small and mid-sized companies. Our team supports over 4,000 end users at over 140 companies that we work with. The majority of our clients are in the Madison area, but we've actually looked at all the outreach of that, and all of our clients actually have offices in 17 different states, with most of them headquartered in Wisconsin. When the news broke about the need to social distance, we did offer up some webinars back in the March-April timeframe. We took a little bit of a pause for that, and we did want to restart a series of webinars, and this is the first one for the fall. So we do have some additional events, and we see we have quite a few people signed up for these other events. We're going to be doing an overview of Microsoft To Do, which is going to be Thursday, September 24th. And then we also have one planned for October. That's going to be pretty exciting. There's a lot of changes that are going on with Microsoft Planner, and they're rolling out a new set of capabilities with that, and we're going to be talking about that in October. We will be answering any questions you have in the Q&A panel. So if you notice that, in your panel, you can, enter questions. Kyle is going to answer those questions as he can, and we're going to discuss those, at the end of the presentation. We are ready to get started, so here's Nancy.
All right. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate the opportunity to share some advanced features in Microsoft OneNote with our audience. We did do kind of an overview of OneNote in the spring sessions, so watch for those. They will be being posted this fall, and if you registered, you will receive a notice when those videos and past webinars are posted. Today we're going to talk about OneNote tags and what they are and why you might want to use them. We're also going to take a look at tables and how can you insert and utilize tables to your advantage to help align information and organize information on a page. Talk about files. There are so many different ways that files can be brought into a OneNote environment, and we'll show you the variety of those and kind of what our recommendations are. And then last, we're just going to touch real briefly on some keyboard shortcuts, because definitely if you can use keyboard shortcuts, you can accomplish things, I think personally, much faster by not having to go, oh, where do I have to click in the ribbon? You can just use a quick keyboard shortcut. So let's go ahead and get started with tags. Tags allow you to categorize and quickly find information. And you can see the laundry list of tags here, from to do to question to idea. Even if you have a website, you can go ahead and tag it as that, create them for projects. There's all sorts of tags you can use. You're going to find the tags in the Home tab on the ribbon. And then they should be sort of to the far right on your ribbon, and that's where the tags are listed. When you click on the drop-down arrow on the tags, it's going to show you this laundry list. And there's, like I said, and I showed you, there's quite a few tags that are already available. They're just predefined for you, default tags, and you can just use them and not have to worry about it. And what happens is, this is an example. I have a page and I've typed these 4 things from a webinar discussion that we had, but they're just a laundry list. And how am I going to remember what to come back to? So if we wanted to go ahead and put the important tag on, I would just go to that tags list in the ribbon and click on important, and it puts that star for important on the front of that item. You can also put multiple tags. So maybe it's not only important, but that square box that I added is a to-do. So I need to do something with this as well. So you can add multiple tags to any line. And one of the nice things is you don't necessarily need to be at the front of the line of text. So I could have my mouse or my cursor actually in the middle on the word on. And when I go ahead and apply the tag, it's always going to apply it to the front of that item. So you're probably saying, great, Nancy, I've applied all these tags all the way through these different pages and sections and notebooks, but how do I find them? So in that ribbon as well, your home ribbon, next to the tags is find tags. And when you go ahead and you click on find tags, it opens up the tag summary window, which has a lot of information on it. So let's start at the top. You can group your tags. So the list that I have actually on that tag summary pane, they're currently grouped by tag name. And so you see if I have multiple importance or questions or to-dos, they're going to show up. But I also have the ability to say, oh, I want to group them by sections. So if you have multiple sections in your notebook, or you want to group them by the date that you added the tag or the note in the text. So you can change how your this tag summary view is by going ahead and changing your groupings. At the bottom of that tag summary pane, you also have the ability of where do you want to search for tags. And it can be the page that you're on, a section group, a notebook, all notebooks. You have a variety of options there for your search. But the default typically is all notebooks, and that can give you this laundry list. So if you're actively using tags, the all notebooks can be a little intimidating when you see the laundry list of tags that you've put. So I do recommend going ahead and narrowing down your search. What happens when I click on an item in this tag summary? So I clicked on decide on topics. And as soon as I did that, it automatically jumped me to the page where that tag was listed. And if I would click on the question mark, the ask GMCC to tweet about this, it would take me to that page. So if it was on the same page as this one is, it wouldn't have taken me anywhere because it would have stayed there. But if it had been on a different page, then it would have taken me and shown me that page where that tag exists. So they are connected, which is really nice. So you don't have to go, well, great, it shows me the tag, but now where do I find it? Microsoft also gives you the ability to customize tags. So in addition to that laundry list of tags that you have that are predefined, if you click on the drop down and scroll all the way to the bottom of your tag list, you'll see the option to customize tags. So click on customize tags, and then we're going to click on new tag. And when we do that, it pops open this window. You can name your tag whatever you want. You can go ahead and add whatever symbol that you want. So I have a lot of clients that what they like to do, the to-do tag is nice, but if there's multiple people on a team, they create custom tags that say Nancy to do, Jim to do, TJ to do. And so now when I get that tag summary, I can see all of my to-dos in one place because instead of just the to-do, it says Nancy to do. So that's a nice way to go ahead and customize, or a reason to customize tags. And
Hey,
once
Nancy,
yeah, go ahead.
We've been using, OneNote at Aberdeen for probably about 9 years now. And, when we first talked about the advanced, OneNote topics, and you mentioned the tag feature, it really wasn't something that we've made use of. So it's kind of interesting when we talked about this a few weeks back, what you could do with these. This to me, the ability to kind of see that summary of all of these tags, is pretty powerful.
Yeah, that definitely that summary is. And the customization, because of some of the ways you use it, Jim, you might want to consider taking a look at how those customized tags can benefit your team as well. So once you've gone ahead and you've given your tag a name and you've given it a symbol, you just click OK. And it just goes ahead and adds it. Let me come back here. It just adds it to your tag list over here. And typically it adds it right to the top of the list. So any custom tags you create, you don't have to scroll down and find them. It's going to show right at the top of the list for you. So let's move on to tables. Excel is great, but you don't always need Excel, and especially if you're typing in and putting information into OneNote. So being able to put it into a table just very quickly can be very helpful. And that is in the Insert ribbon and Insert a Table. And it's a matter of clicking on the table and then just drawing. So this is a 4x4. And once I have used my mouse and I've said, okay, I want it 4x4, I just click on that last corner of the 4x4. So right here is where I would click. And as soon as I do that, it goes ahead and creates a table on my page that's 4x4. Now I can go ahead and I can type information into that table. This slide actually is saying, well, what if I didn't know that I wanted my data in a table? And all of a sudden I start typing and I go, oh, these are really column headers. So I type the word date, and as soon as I go ahead and hit tab, it'll add another column. And I can keep hitting the tab key and it'll keep adding columns for me. When I'm done with my column headers, I can go ahead. So here I have 3 columns. As soon as I hit the enter key now, it's going to add rows. So now I've created my table, not right off the bat to type my information in, but as I started typing, I went, hey, I want a table. Let's quickly make a table. So that's a nice feature. I sometimes wish that the tab key in Word would do the same thing, but that might get irritating. So this is a really nice feature in here, is that it automatically creates that table for you. Another thing that I think that I really like tables to help me do on that page in OneNote. OneNote on the page, if you have experienced it or are aware of, is that you can put as much information, and the page is as long and as wide as you want. But sometimes the information is not organized when you have it all over the page. So here's an example. Here's some meeting notes, and here's our agenda, and here's the 3 items. But now we have the meeting. And so many times what happens is that those notes get entered underneath the agenda and they get disconnected. So a use to help align and utilizing tables is to put your agenda with your 3 talking points in a table. And then as you're doing your introductions, you have a spot that here's the notes about that item. Here's the note about the project updates or the social mixer discussion. And it really helps keep conversations and information connected to what that agenda item are in this case. And I do that a lot. I found that it just really helps me keep the notes that I'm typing connected to the agenda item or the talking point of the conversation. You can format your table by clicking on the table in the ribbon, and you'll see here that there is a variety. You can select a table, you can select columns, rows, delete. So it's very limited formatting options. You can't do any math in here, which is a little frustrating, but it's not really what the purpose is. If you need an Excel spreadsheet, use an Excel spreadsheet. Another way to quickly get to the formatting is when you're in your table, as long as your mouse is anywhere within the table here and you right click, you get an option that pops up table, and then clicking on table pops up that menu, the formatting menu. So you can get to the formatting menu multiple ways. I use the right click to insert columns either or rows above or below. So if I need another one, and that's the main way that I utilize the right click, table, and insert. If my mouse is already on the table, just makes it a little easier than going up to the top.
Tables is something we use quite a bit of, Nancy. So for all of our weekly, staff meetings or even our client review meetings, we have that kind of framed in a table. And we mentioned in the previous session that we did on OneNote is that when you have everything in this OneNote page, you can easily, go to File and Send Page, and then you can send all of that information to somebody in an email. So that isn't part of today's topic, sending the page. But the table is very powerful from a standpoint of creating like checklists. So Jake on our team is actually somebody that assists me, and we use those checklists where I can send them a checklist in an email and fill it out with some of the things I need them to work on specifically for me. So we find it to be pretty helpful that way.
Yeah, and the tables help because then you can say, here's what it is, here's when it needs to be done, here's who it's assigned to. It's not as easy if it's just all over the page, but when you put it in the table, it makes it much easier.
Yeah, we actually, it's interesting. So, I mean, in the 9 years we've used, OneNote, it's probably the thing I work in the most. When you consider all the different tools we have, it's probably the one that I spend the majority or most of my time in other than email.
Great. I think that's a powerful statement, Jim. So thanks for sharing. So let's move on to files. And there are so many different ways that you can insert a file, and what happens to that file and how you interact with it is going to change depending on how you put that file in there. So we're going to start with a file link. And this is in the menu, the insert menu in your ribbon, and it's the link. When you go ahead and click on the insert link, it's going to go ahead and pop up and it says, all right, what text do you want to display for this link? And so you go ahead and type your text there. The next one says, what's the address? Or essentially, what is the file path? At the end of the address, you do see the ability to go out and actually grab a web address. And so you certainly can do that. You also can click the little file folder, which is going to open File Explorer on your computer, and then you can locate the file and put a link to it here. The one thing about that, though, is if it's on your computer and you're linking to something on your computer, if this is a shared notebook and that file is living on your C drive, they might not have access to it. So what I personally do is, especially if it's a shared notebook and I have a file that's already living either on SharePoint or in a OneDrive that is shared with people or in a team site, is I will grab that address and then I'll just copy it and I'll paste it in here. So rather than when I get to address go, oh, where does it live? I go and find it and go, this is the address that I want to link to or insert the link in here. You'll also see down below that you can pick a location in OneNote. So this could be, I'm on this page and I want to reference a different page. So Jim mentioned those checklists that they use, but they also have pages that have notes about their clients. So it might be a checklist and he goes, hey, make sure that you go look at XYZ page for ABC client. And he can also go ahead and find that page in OneNote and go ahead and link back to it. So that is a nice option. And whatever text that you had typed, it's going to go ahead and it's just going to show you with the underline that there's a link that's attached to that. And it's a hyperlink, just like any other hyperlinks that you go ahead and click on. So links can be a really nice thing in here. And let me come back because I know, Jim, you and I talked about the other way, rather than typing the text, is you could have a page. And on that page, you type something and you're like, oh, hey, so if I type how a file link appears and I go, oh, I want to link this to a PowerPoint or to another page or to something, I can just highlight what I typed. So I could have highlighted how a file link appears. And then I can right click and it gives me the option to insert a link, or I could have gone up to my ribbon and done insert a link. And so in the text to display, it would have automatically said how a file link appears, and whatever I link to is going to, those are the words that that link is going to be attached to. So let's take a look at attaching a file. When you attach a file to OneNote, it is just like attaching a file to an email. And as we all know, when we attach a file to an email message, we are creating a copy. And so it is a separate copy from wherever that file lives. If it's on your C drive or OneDrive or SharePoint or wherever that file originally lives, as soon as we attach it, we now have 2 copies of that file. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just you want to be aware of it. So if I click on File Attachment, it pops up the window that says, okay, where do you want to choose? So you can go ahead and scroll any place that's on your computer and then find the file and then just go ahead and click Insert. And this is what it looks like. It goes ahead, and if it's a Word or Excel, it gives you a little icon. It tells you what the name of that file was. It doesn't say, this is mine, how a file attachment appears. But that's what it looks like when it's attached. And you can double click on it and you can open it just like if you were in email. So just be aware of that it is a separate one and it's not the one that you might have in a saved or store, let's try that again, shared location. Another way is to embed or to print out. So in the insert menu, you see file printout. When you click on that, it does the same thing, opens the window, says pick your file, go ahead and insert. And in addition, you'll see up here, it gives me my file name, and this is actually the attachment. So in addition to attaching the file to the page, it actually gives you a printout. And this can be helpful if it is more important for people to be able to see the information that is in that file on this page without having to open it up. So it's a nice thing if there maybe are some instructions, HR, how to request, time off or vacation, how to sign up for benefits, and you're using OneNote for those kinds of things. You don't necessarily want to force everyone to go, oh, great, so this is what I have to open up to read how to request time off. You want them to be able to go to the request time off page and read through it. So that is one of the values of a printout. And you can print out Word files, PowerPoint files, Excel files, and even PDFs onto a page in OneNote.
Yeah, that's actually something we do quite a bit, Nancy, is we attach files to a OneNote page, potentially for like a review meeting. But what's really powerful is with those PDF documents, if you insert like a 100-page PDF into OneNote, now it becomes searchable. So you can, using the search function, which we talked about in the previous session we did a few months ago, you can search, and that search includes all the contents in those attached files or inserted the printed files, in your OneNote pages.
Right. And that is huge because then you don't have to wonder if the information is there. So when we do file printout and for that Word document, and I opened the attachment, I double clicked on it, opened it, and I made some changes, and then I saved it and closed it from OneNote. This is not the one on my computer. This is the one on that OneNote page. As soon as I save it and go back to OneNote, save and close, because you do have to close it also, OneNote tells me, hey, the printout below may be out of date. So you just right click on that message to refresh it, and the printout is updated. So in this case, I added this information to that Word document, and as soon as I went back into OneNote and I refreshed it, it fixed the printout and it showed exactly what the changes are because I made them nice and bold and red. So it's nice that with attached files that are printed out, that you do get that little pop-up that says, hey, do you want to refresh this? And if you don't go back to that OneNote page, anybody else, if this is a shared notebook, they'll see that same message. So if Jim's going to this page after, at a later date, and he goes, hey, this never got updated, he can go ahead and right click and refresh the printout below as well. In 2013, so if you're using any version of OneNote prior to 2013, you did not have the ability to actually insert a spreadsheet. And this kind of takes that file printout, I would say, to the next level. And it's just very cool. Again, same process here. Click on it, choose your file, click insert, and pops up one more menu. And it says, okay, with this Excel spreadsheet, what do you want to do? Do you want to attach the file? And that's the same as I showed you with the file attachment. So it would just put the logo for Excel and the name of the sheet. The insert spreadsheet is kind of a little misnomer because Excel is really a workbook with multiple sheets in it. And so when you do insert spreadsheet, it is going to insert all of the sheets of the workbook. I typically will use insert chart or table. And again, I don't think that the naming is quite accurate, because what that does when you click on that is it pops up and it shows you all the sheets in your workbook, and you can check mark what sheet or multiple sheets you want to insert on that page. And when you go ahead and select, say, yep, go ahead and insert the worksheet or the workbook or the worksheets, it again makes an attachment. So it attaches that Excel spreadsheet, tells you what the name of it is, and then it shows you what's happening. When this file is updated, so it gets opened and edited, it automatically updates where the Word or the PDF, when they were inserted and you edited them, the printout was inserted, you had to manually update. With Excel, it automatically updates. The other thing is it gives you automatically is when you hover your mouse over the inserted Excel spreadsheet, it's going to pop up and show you this little edit. And when you click on edit, it takes that, opens that Excel spreadsheet in Excel. You go ahead and make your changes. And when you save and close it, this is automatically updated with any changes. So when we were talking about tables, I skipped this because I felt it was more with the Excel. Let's say you've created a table and you're like, you know what, it just doesn't keep the formatting the way I want. I want to turn this table into Excel. I want to add this column up. I want to use the features that are in Excel that just the OneNote table doesn't give you all the functionality. I can quickly, in that table menu, select Convert to Excel spreadsheet. And so as long as you're on your table and you click Convert Excel spreadsheet, it goes ahead and it just converts it into an Excel spreadsheet that has all those features I just showed you. The edit, I can click on edit, open it up, do whatever I want, manipulate the data, save it, and when I come back, it's automatically reflected here.
Nancy, some of the things you talked about here with attaching or inserting Excel spreadsheets, I personally like having all of those work tabs show up, when it's printed into the page, because then you can quickly scroll the information instead of clicking to each of the worksheets. But I think the other part of this is, though, when you have that in that table and the ability to convert it, that's something I do quite a bit, and I find that to be extremely helpful as well.
Great. Yeah, because sometimes you create the table and you're like, okay, this is nice, but I want to manipulate the data a little bit more. So yeah, that conversion is awesome. All right, so let's take a look at some keyboard shortcuts. And what that does, I mean, as I said earlier, they really help you complete your actions faster. So most of us are familiar with these, right? Copy is Control-C, cut, Control-X, paste is Control-V. But there's so much more than that, and not just in OneNote, but across all, not only Microsoft things, Windows 10, and even if you're using a Mac, there's a whole bunch of keyboard shortcuts on a Mac as well. We're focusing here, obviously, on Microsoft and desktop. If you are, and this happens to be an image of PowerPoint, so in any of the apps, if you just hit the Alt key, it is going to display what Microsoft calls the key tips. So here I was in PowerPoint, I hit the Alt key, and all of a sudden I get these letters pop up. As soon as I go ahead and hit a letter, so let's say I want to insert, so I hit the letter N next, nothing in front of it, just N. So I hit Alt, and then I hit N, and that takes me right to my insert menu. When I get to the insert menu, it shows me all the items available in that ribbon, but it also shows me all of the keyboard shortcuts for that too. So if I wanted to do a table, I could hit T. If I want to insert a picture, I would go ahead and hit P. So that's a really nice feature, and just play around with it and experience it. I love to learn new shortcuts every day. If you want to find a list of shortcuts, the full list, you can go, this again happens to be in PowerPoint, but you'll see this in Word or Excel. Click on Help and click on Help again. it pops up and I just type the word keyboard shortcuts and it just says, it gives you some options to choose from. You know, keyboard to work with a ribbon, shortcuts in Office. So you can go that way. You can also just go to Google and type Office keyboard shortcuts or keyboard shortcuts in Office. And it's going to pull up a laundry list. Now, this screenshot is actually from the Microsoft website. So it is important, and this is a really long path for a web address. But the important thing is when you do that Google search and you get this laundry list of places for shortcut, look for the one that says support.microsoft.com keyboard shortcuts, and don't necessarily go to somebody else that has posted the keyboard shortcuts, because the one on Microsoft's website is going to be updated, or the most updated, for what you want to look for.
You know, I'm sure others will get more out of the shortcuts than I do, Nancy. You know, I know our technical staff are very well versed on keyword shortcuts. For me, for some reason, maybe it's my brain wiring. They don't click with me. You know, do you have some suggestions on how people can kind of learn those new shortcuts as you proposed?
So one of the things that I find is that on at least a monthly basis, I try to add a new shortcut to my brain, right? To something that has become a habit. And so what I do is I will go and find it. And one of my most recent ones is I'm like, you know what? I really would like to insert emojis into an email message besides just the smiley face, which, you know, that's been around for a while. And you hit I can't even think of it right now as I'm not doing it. You hit the colon key and then the right parenthesis and you get a little smiley face. So I'm like, you know, I really want more icons than that. And so I went and found the shortcut for it and I wrote it on a Post-it note and pasted it on my monitor. And every time I wanted to put in that emoji or put an emoji in an email message, I would look at that. And it took about 3 to 4 weeks. And now it's automatically in my head how to do that type of a shortcut and use those keyboard shortcuts. And then I can pull that Post-it note off, throw it away because I don't need to remember it anymore. It's in my head. And then I try to do something else and I'm like, oh man, there has to be a keyboard shortcut for this. So I'll go find it. I'll put it on the Post-it note and put it on my monitor. So once a month, I just try to keep adding shortcuts to my brain. And that's the process that I do, Jim. So it might something you want to try out.
I'll give it a shot. Thank you.
All right.
Hey, thanks, Kyle. And Nancy, thanks for the presentation and overview. We do have our contact information, so feel free to reach out to us if you have any specific questions that you'd like some follow-up about. And also, there will be a survey that follows today's event, so you get a chance to give us some feedback on what we covered as well as how we presented. So please share that. And there's also a question about other topics you might be interested in as well. You can certainly follow us on our social media, so Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. You know, we're there. Kyle and our team is actually the person that keeps our Facebook account and Twitter account active. So, you know, please engage with Kyle. We do have upcoming webinars, as we mentioned at the start. So we've got the one in September, which is around the Microsoft To Do app. And then we're talking about the changes with Microsoft Planner in October. We are going to try to keep these a little bit more, you know, bite-sized as far as the presentations go. Instead of being like a full hour presentation, we're going to stick to a shorter format. So we were looking for 45 minutes today, and we're right at 46. So we're going to try to keep them a little bit more condensed for you guys. With that, you know, I do want to thank everybody for joining us. I hope everybody has a good day, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon. Okay, thank you.